On your feet! Get them going!
Oh, guess who's back? Back again. And why does my forehead look like I have some radioactive material going? Hold on a second. I should have probably checked this before I started my show. Virtual background, fade. Oh, it's worse. That's terrible. That's good. That's good. All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Blacklist. No, welcome to Cross Examinations. Hey, before I start this, I wanted to offer a challenge to people of faith and non-faith everywhere. If you want to know, like, people question, like, well, who's the real God? What's the right religion? What's the truth? Is there a God? Is there a God out there that's listening to me? Well, here you go. Here's a challenge for you. Regardless what religion or faith or non-faith you belong to, if you actually honestly want to know, ask. Don't even ask my name. I mean, I know who it's going to be, but ask the one true God in earnest prayer. Pray to the one true God, the creator of heaven and earth and all reality, to reveal himself to you. They, themselves, whatever you want to say. If you're asking in earnest truth, God will reveal himself to you. I know who it'll end up being because I've had this conversation. And so like if you're a Muslim, don't use Allah. Just say one true God, whoever you are. Reveal yourself. And look, here's the thing. If you believe in a religion, or you believe in a God, a Buddha, a Vishnu, a Wakantanka, whatever, if you believe in one, but you're not willing to pray to the one true God because you're afraid. Well, if you don't actually believe the one you believe in is the one true God, then you'll have this pang of fear about praying to the one true God. And what does that say about what you actually believe? So don't pray to Allah. If you're a Muslim, don't pray to Allah. Pray to the one true God, the heavenly emperor, the creator of the cosmos, your creator, your personal creator, the one who knit you together in the womb. Pray to the truth, the true God, and see what happens. It's a challenge to everyone of every faith. Yeah, that includes Christianity. Absolutely. Feel free. I know what the answer is going to be because, like I said, I've been there. So, but I'm just curious if you feel apprehensive about praying that, and you believe that you believe in a God, or that you believe in a certain faith or whatever, and you're apprehensive about calling out beyond the name your religion gives your God to the one true God. If you're apprehensive about that at all, I would posit that you know that your faith is not based on the one true God. Anyways, I mean, you may not be apprehensive at all. Then you should be absolutely willing to do it, right? Because I've heard stories, and I don't want to just make this all about Muslims, right? But it seems like these stories come out of the Muslim world a lot, and they're very, very powerful testimonies of guys who they've been praying to Allah their whole lives, and Allah doesn't answer because he's not there. And then they pray instead to the God of Abraham, who is supposed to be, in their religion, Allah, right? And when they pray to the God of Abraham, who reveals themselves to them? Jesus. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. It's these testimonies they're on YouTube. You can find them. They're obviously they're being translated. Most of the time they're being translated because these guys, like, they speak Farsi, they don't speak English. So that's a powerful feeling just thinking about it, right? It's a challenge. to anyone of any faith or lack thereof. But here's the thing. If you're an atheist who doesn't want to believe in God, then you're not going to pray in earnest, right? If you're an agnostic, if you come from a truly earnestly agnostic position where you're like, I don't know. Can I know? Is it even possible to know? Then you think, I want to know. And you earnestly pray in a desire to know if there's a God. You don't have to pray to a specific God, deity. Just there's only one true God and creator. So if that's the case, pick up the phone. Anybody there? Anybody there? Pray. Pray and ask for revelation, personal revelation, whatever it may be. I challenge everyone in the audience to do that. Anyway, we are once again. Where's my book? I've been gone for 3-4 days. Someone else has been using my computer, so I had to reset up all of my pages, and my book's not here. Where's? Hey, you have a copy of Rise and Fall? Mm-mm. What the heck?
Yeah, we're supposed to be first.
Isaac, can you go hunt around the house and find me a copy of Rise and Fall? Isaac, can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you go hunt around the house and find me a copy of Rise and Fall?
It's on the app.
I need the book. So we're going through Rise and Fall. We'll start that in about a half an hour. I do want to get through, because we're going through Bible Absurdities Challenge Part 8 today. And so, oh, never mind. I found it. I was hiding it under my phone. All right, we were going through Rise and Fall. If you want to see it, it's in the Discord. I put in a fresh link for the Discord. Mike can just read it from Discord. It was sitting right next to me, but my phone was on top of it, and somehow or another, I'm an idiot. So, that's that. Bear with me. That is how. Oh my gosh, it's time to get JoJo. Is mommy getting JoJo? Hold on a second. Let me mute. I think she went to go get him. All right. Bible Absurdities Challenge Part 8. Now where did I put that? See, I had to reopen this up. Again, somebody got on my computer without my permission while I was gone. I was at a Squid Grow team meetup, sort of a team building excursion for the past 4 days. It's still going on today, except for I was like, I gotta get back to work. I have to finish a FAR. I've only done 2 pages of a FAR during this whole time, and I need to finish this project. It is imperative. It is my imperative imperogatoration thing. So yeah, we were there. It was a really good time. Got to meet some great people. It's a really good team. We're going to be doing some really cool stuff with the project, and we're brainstorming other ideas for other stuff. And this isn't what this channel is all about, but I'm just telling you where I've been these past few days and why I am now entirely 3 days behind on Rise and Fall. And my channel's just sort of lingered here, waiting for me to come back. Let me take that off. All right. So anyways, let's get over to present screen. 101 of the craziest, strangest, most absurd claims of the Bible. Claim number 43. An angel of the Lord kills 185,000 men while they sleep. 2 Kings 1935. You know what? Let me 2 Kings 1935, because I for some reason I remember that as being as 80,000, but is it 185,000? That's King James Bible. I don't even have my King James. Oh my gosh. King James Bible online. King James official. KingJamesBibleOnline.org. Okay. So that was 2 Kings 1935. 2 Kings. Oh, that's funny. I was just listening to 1 Kings this morning. Oh no, 2 Kings. 1935. Let's just go to 30. Let's see what they have to say here. Remnants escaped. House of Judah shall wait toward for out of Jerusalem come forth a remnant, and they escape out of Mount Zion, and the zeal of the Lord of hosts shall do this. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the Assyrian, he shall not concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into the city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it. Okay, this is giving me some flashbacks because the prince or the Assyrian is a name of the Antichrist. So I haven't studied this already, but it just kind of pings my head, pings my brain, because oftentimes scripture has dual prophetic meanings. So I don't know if this does here, but it is Joe says Mike likes to complicate things, and Jay agrees, and Drake laughs at me. Thank you, everyone. I'm so glad you're here to to encourage me. For out of Jerusalem, for I will descend the city to save it for mine own sake and for my servant David's sake. And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt in Nineveh. And it came to pass, as he was worshipping in the house of Nishrosh his god, that Adramelech and Sharezer his sons smote him with a sword, that they escaped in the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon his son reigned in his stead. Okay, so is it absurd to believe that an angel of God could kill 185,000 men? No. I'm sorry. I don't know what the absurdity would be. It doesn't say how they killed him, right? I mean, literally, it could have been an angel of the Lord, like got a. Oh, here's the thing. What if they were in a valley, right? And this smote in the camp means it killed him. It doesn't mean they went around and stabbed 185. I mean, it perfectly logical. Take a flaming sword and just chop up 5 or 6 guys at a time. No big deal. But they were all dead corpses. There is a true life event of a volcano that was next to a village, a valley village. It was a village. I think this was in Africa or South America, but it was the village was at the bottom of a valley, right? The volcano, it didn't like erupt. What it did was it released, like there was a CO2 eruption. There was a carbon dioxide eruption from this volcano. And carbon dioxide, unlike what the green movement wants you to think, is a heavy gas. Carbon dioxide falls when it's in the atmosphere. So the carbon dioxide from this volcano filled the valley up, right? And everyone suffocated. The entire village suffocated. And they woke up they didn't wake up, but when morning came, early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. This happened literally I don't remember how many years ago. It's at least a couple decades, because I've known this story for a long time. But I mean, imagine that sort of a thing happening, right? It's like, it's always the thing. It's like God uses quote unquote natural events in order to make miracles happen. Well, I don't know. Maybe maybe if they're in a valley, that's just the sort of a thing that God could make happen. Because it does says the angel of the Lord went out and smoked. The angel of the Lord oftentimes is used to mean a Christophany. So no, I'm not implying some sort of an angel fart. That would be methane. Is methane a heavy gas? I think methane is also a heavy gas, isn't it? Imagine the logistics of burying all those people after looting them, of course. It would seem absurd to someone that can't understand that God is limitless. Yeah, well, my point being, God often uses the natural world to produce miraculous events, right? So like again, and I hate rehashing this all the time, but he probably used a meteor to get rid of Sodom and Gomorrah, something along those lines, right? Some natural, he built this place, he built the universe, so he can use whatever he wants to make whatever he wants happen, and it doesn't imply that it's not miraculous just because it's within the natural realm, right? Now, okay, devil's advocate. Someone could just say, oh, this was a coincidence. 185,000 men of the Assyrian army were coming to fight King. It wasn't David. This is Kings, so it's probably Solomon. They just used for David's sake as a term for the kingdom of David. It's probably Solomon. It's 2 Kings, right? Wait. 5,000 were all dead corpses. So anyway, I'm getting away from my point, which I'm trying to remember at this point because I'm squirreling. Oh yeah, the devil's advocate thing. So someone could say, if they refuse to believe, they're like, okay, I believe this happened, but I believe it was coincidence. Okay, that's you rejecting the salvation of the Israelis army, of the salvation of Israel, basically, right? 85,000 Assyrian soldiers were coming to fight an army. I believe their army is only like 40,000 or something like that, if I can remember correctly. I might be wrong, but it was a much bigger army. Not to say that God hadn't delivered much bigger armies into the hands of the Israelites over and over again, but in this case, God just whacked the whole army in one shot. And yes, you could say, but they're just claiming it was God, but really it was just a coincidence. And it's like, either way you slice that, they were probably praying for victory over this army, and they got victory without even having to unsheath a sword. So that's pretty awesome. Is it absurd? Again, to he who refuses to believe that God is capable of acting within the physical universe, all of this stuff is absurd. But to anybody with a rational mind who is open to the concept that there may very well be a God who interferes in the natural course of mankind, it's not absurd at all. All right. God can also have enough and say, be gone, and poof, they are gone. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think of all the things that God could do, but he limits himself. Because look, he had the angels who had absolute knowledge and absolute proof that he was God. Therefore, they didn't have faith. They had knowledge, and they rejected him anyways. And the Bible says even the devils believe, but what profiteth them, right? So and then God, Jesus says, greater is he who has not seen and still believes. So he puts so much weight and value on us having faith without having proof. Now that makes me feel like a doubting Thomas, because to me, I needed the proof in order to come to faith. Right? So I'm okay being a doubting Thomas type believer, but there's guys out there with faith, without having to see proof. And it seemed, from what Jesus seems to indicate, they have a greater faith than me. I'm fine with, I mean, that's good for them. I'm just built different. I'm just built in that way that I need to see proof. I mean, I have an open mind about stuff. Like, somebody tells me some ridiculous thing, I might think it's ridiculous, but then at the same time, I will go research it to validate that it's ridiculous or invalidate my preconceived notions. I'm very open-minded about stuff. And I mean, if I wasn't, I would never have become a Christian, right? I wouldn't have become a carnivore. I test things and I research things and so I'm a doubting Thomas. Call me a doubting Thomas all you want. That's it. It's not an insult to me. He's still one of the apostles. All right. Caleb Reynolds, hello, says, I just recently learned that Jehoshaphat means God judges. I remember hearing that as a kid, never knowing what it meant. Yeah, jumping Jehoshaphat. It's also somebody's name. All right, number 42. The chief of David's captains killed 300 men with his spear at one time. Well, it doesn't mean he ran his spear through 300 people in one shot. It means that he killed 300 people in one battle. So that means he's very strong, very skilled, and very fortunate that nobody managed to get an arrow in his back, right? Is that ridiculous? No. Have you seen? Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's it's so weird because modern warfare is so completely different because we have snipers and machine guns and all that kind of fun stuff. But is it ridiculous to think that, I mean, and this was one of David's mighty men, and the mighty men were known for their extraordinary abilities in the battlefield. That's why they were called the mighty men, David's mighty men. So Jeshoabim and Abishai were two of his mighty men, and they killed 300 men in one battle or in one encounter. It would be one battle, right? And keep in mind, battles went all day and into the twilight, right? So hours and hours and hours of fighting. Wow, imagine the stamina. I was doing some kicking practice with this MMA dude yesterday, and man, I got exhausted pretty quick. Then again, I'm 52 years old, so I have that excuse. I'm not a young buck anymore. They can just have relentless stamina. But obviously these guys were trained mighty men. I don't find that to be absurd at all. If you do, I mean, more power to you, but think about that. It only takes a couple seconds to kill somebody if you get a shot in, right? So if you're fighting for, just call it 10 hours, that's 30 minutes an hour. That's one person every 5 minutes. A 5-minute fight is a long fight, right? You can't be clashing swords with somebody for 5 minutes unless they are equally skilled. So generally speaking, the higher skilled person with the sword or the spear is the one who's going to win in a fight. Historical battles lasted a couple hours with a few exceptions or had prolonged breaks in the action. I'm just remembering which particular battles were where even who was it? Was it Joshua who slowed the sun in the sky? Which that's got to be in here somewhere, right? And I have an answer for that too. A very interesting answer. Hold on a second. All right. 41. Abijah spoke to 1.2 million soldiers at one time. He had a really loud voice. 2 Chronicles 13, 3-4. 2 Chronicles 13, 3-4. 2 Chronicles 13. All right, now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam began Abijah to reign over Judah. He reigned 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was also Micaiah, the daughter of Uriel of Gibeah, and there was a war between Abijah and Jeroboam. And Abijah set the battle in array with an army of valiant men of war, even 400,000 chosen men. Jeroboam also set the battle in array against him with 800,000 chosen men, being mighty men of valor. And Abijah stood up upon Mount Zemaraim, which is in Mount Ephraim, and said, Hear me, O thou Jeroboam, and all Israel. Ought ye not know that the Lord God of Israel gave the kingdom over Israel to David forever, even to him and to his sons by a covenant of salt? Yet, okay, so this is just saying that he was talking to this guy. I'm guessing the guys in the back didn't hear him. Right? LOL, there were not 800,000 men in all Israel. What are you talking about, dude? There were 2 million. Even before this, there were 2 million coming out of the Sinai desert. Actually, yeah, there were 2 million men plus women and children. Where are you getting this information, brother? The Bible's not mythological, Joe. Sorry. So yeah, I'm guessing the guys at the back had a harder time hearing him, but I'm guessing there was also a lot of what did he say, and then people who could hear repeating what he was saying. That's just how it works. Okay, the historical document that we have that is the most accurate is called the Bible. So, what historical documents are you talking about? Recording how many men, women, and children there were in ancient Israel. Rome could not field 800,000 men. I'm going to look that up. How large was the Roman army at their peak? Size and ads, Wikipedia.
This is what's the crystal sword market looks like. This could be a crystal sword.
Sorry if I'm reading. 4 armies. Let's see. That's the Pyrrhic War. This is too much information. And also that's Rome. 154 grand total, 377,728. Wow, that's a very precise number. Total Roman forces 645,000.
Okay.
Wait, military units during Constantine. All right, here we go. During Tiberius, total Roman forces with 300,000. During Trajan, total Roman forces 454,000. During Hadrian, total Roman forces 443,000. Marcus Aurelius, 454,000. Septimus Severus, 502,000. Aurelian, 524,000. Diocletian, 599.5 thousand. And during Constantine, 645,000. You're saying Rome could not field 800,000 men? Well, they got close. But yeah, there were 2 million men. Now, here's the thing. The Roman army was a professional army, right? I don't think the Jews had a standing army of 800,000, right? Yeah, and some goat herders had 800,000, right? They weren't goat herders, dude. They freaking had an entire country, a nation to themselves. Dude, they came out of Egypt with 5 million people, right? I mean, roughly 5 million. 2 million plus women and children. They got cut down in the wilderness and then rebuilt over the 40 years. They left the desert. They left the wilderness with 2 million men plus women and children. Those are the numbers. And then they formed all the different city states of Israel and Judah and all over that region. And then they multiplied. So I don't understand. Europe had not 6 million. See, here's the thing, dude. I hate to go over this again, but they came out of Egypt in those massive numbers because Egypt was the most powerful nation on earth at the time. And they were, even if they were enslaved, they were in a safety zone where they could procreate at vast quantities. And they did, right? The math is very simple. I did it over. It would have only ticked if they were hardcore procreating. They could have reached the 7 million point in like 90 years or 100 years, something like that, very quickly, right? That's how it works when you're safe. That's why the numbers, it took us 4,000 years, something like 4,000 years to reach 1 billion people on the planet. And then when we got to 1 billion and we weren't constantly in warring factions, constantly killing each other, constantly going to war, constantly all this stuff, this last, dude, we shot up from 1 billion to almost 8 billion now in the span of since like 1800, something like. I think we reached 1 billion in like 16 or 1800. When did the Earth's population reach 1 billion? World population reached 1 billion. Let's see, 500 million in 1471. There weren't even 500 million people on Earth when America was discovered, or there was barely. Okay, so it was 1800. It was in 1804, approximately, that we got to 1 billion, and now we are at 8 billion. Oh, we reached 8 billion in 2022. That's the extrapolation of population when humans aren't just killing each other all the time, basically. So yeah, there's Rome was in a constant state of war, right? They were constantly out there trampling on other cultures, fighting other cultures, constantly killing each other, right? And they won some, they lost some. They won some, they lost some. Their numbers would have been diminished through that whole thing. But Israel, I mean, they won a lot of wars. So yeah, you're comparing Rome to Israel. They're two different things, right? It's like saying, well, America only has what, 10. How many people do we have? 10 million? And how many American military total troops? What do we have? 1.4 million. We have 1.4 million soldiers. It's like, well, if America only has 1.4 million soldiers, then it's impossible for China to have the 200 million man army. I'm pretty sure they do. Total troops in Chinese military. I think it was because 200 million sounded so crazy like decades ago. But oh no, they have 2.5. Oh, they've been on decline. Was it 2 million? Was I getting that backwards? I hate looking this stuff up. All right. Mike, it's like comparing gang wars for a block with a war in Ukraine. Where were those super warriors? Come on, Mike. It's just symbolic tales. It's not symbolic tales, dude. You're one of the guys that Pete thinks that this is all absurd because you don't believe in what? I don't know what you believe, Joe, honestly. It's like comparing gang wars for block war with Ukraine. Arlene says, now everyone is fighting again. The births have significantly dropped and the population is declining. That's true. But yeah, that was a point I made before about the going from the 70 people who entered Egypt into the millions of people who left Egypt 430 years later. It's because you're in safety. When you're living in safety and security, and you can procreate a lot in safety. And so Rome, Greece, friggin' a lot of places, they didn't have that. If you had a nice, safe, secure location to procreate, then you can procreate plenty. I don't take tribal narrative motifs as fact. Well, you know what? We've got historical records versus what? You just not liking those historical records. That's historical records versus your opinion. And so you're trying to take, I mean, look, man, how many times has claims of the Bible been proven true, and yet people still are like, oh no, but this one's not true until it's proven true, right? Oh no, but this one's not true until it's proven true. There's some adage about every time a spade hits the dirt in Israel, another archaeologist converts to Christianity, right? Because the evidence of the archaeological evidence of the validity of what the scriptures teach just over and over and over and over. I mean, there's an entire magazine called Biblical Archaeology Review where they go over this stuff all the time. Yeah, they were fighting, but that was the equivalent of small scraps, not the epic battles. They are flourishing. Okay, I think I need you to be more specific. All right. So anyways, we were talking about Abijah. We're 38 minutes into this, so we're going to switch over to the Bible study portion. I'm going to go back. This is going to be a little longer show today because I want to read through. We started in on 2 Samuel, and we should be on 2 Samuel 4, but I missed 1 through 3. So I'm going to start at 2 Samuel 1, and bear with me. I'm going to read all the way through 2 Samuel 4. 2 Samuel 1 through 4. Can you hear my giggling child in the other room? Should I close the door? All right, and then let me stop this and refresh. Stop screen. And because I'm going to be reading through so much of this, I will also be dipping in and out of the chat. So it's not just going to be a dry read through. It's going to be interactive. So feel free to pipe up. Share screen. All right. And man, my stomach hurt. Like my stomach muscles hurt. Like I swear, I was doing like a bunch of kicking. Who's the guy? His name's D-Rod, but I forget what it's called. It's MMA, but it's like the professional MMA stuff. He's a professional fighter for what's that called? The professional MMA thing? UFC. Yeah, he's a UFC fighter. But he's part of the Squid Grow team, and so we were like practicing kicking and stuff. I have it on video, but you guys probably don't want to watch it. All right, let me get a wet the whistle drink and begin. 2 Samuel chapter 1. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, A man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was when he came to David that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. All right. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel I am escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? This is a blow, right? Jonathan is his best friend, right? So he was not hoping for this outcome clearly. And the young man told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. Okay, so in the other previous recounting of this, it says that Saul, what is the exact wording? It's essentially Saul leaned upon his spear, meaning Saul committed suicide, right? But in this extended, if this kid is telling the truth, here's the thing. Two options here. The extended version of this telling is the truth, wherein Saul tried to kill himself, but he was just bleeding out or dying slowly and wasn't dying. He didn't die immediately, and so he asked for help. Second option, this kid wanted a reward from David. And so he wanted to be the hero who killed David's enemy, not understanding that David revered the anointing that God placed upon Saul. And so those are the two options. And when he looked behind him, he saw me and called unto me, and I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. And he said unto me, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguishes come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord. Like, where's my finder's fee, bro? And David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. I mean, remember, this is a civil war. So it's Israelites killing Israelites, even though they might call themselves Judeans because they are from Judah. And that's where you get the word Jew. It's from Judah, because somehow it went from Israel to Judea, which is interesting because in the time of the Romans, it was all called Judea. But then after 1948 is renamed Israel. I wonder why they didn't rename it Judah. That's curious. And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, Wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head, for thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. And David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. Hey, he taught the kids how to use guns or, artillery. In those days, it would have been known as artillery. Artillery today takes it on a different meaning with cannons and stuff. But artillery back in those days would mean bow and arrow. The beauty of Israel is slain upon thy high places. How are the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath. Publish it not in the streets of Ascalon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. Ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, let there be rain. upon you, nor fields. Oh, neither let there be. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Neither let there be rain upon you, nor your fields of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than angels, they were stronger than lions. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet, with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of the battle? O Jonathan, thou wast slain in the high places. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant thou hast been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How are the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perished? Arlene says, didn't God refer to his people as Israel and call Jacob Israel? Yes. Yeah, that was sort of a thing. So if you go through and you pay attention to when God calls Jacob Israel and when he calls him Jacob, it's when he's being obedient versus when he's being disobedient. So when he's being a Jacob, God calls him Jacob. And when he's being an Israel, he calls him Israel. That's very funny. Joe K says the Romans called it Palestine. They did. That's right. They renamed Judea Palestine, I believe, after 70 AD, pretty much to piss off the Jews because they were naming Judea after the ancient enemies of the Jews, who were the Philistines. Palestine is the Roman name for Philistia, Palestine, Palestino, whatever. All right. We're not going to do the actual devotional pages for these chapters. I'm going to just do the reading because I think that's a little more important, honestly. I don't want you guys to miss the story either. This is such a fantastic story. It makes sense to name the country Israel. Yeah, it does. You're right. I was just curious because it was called Judea prior to the Romans renaming it Palestine. So it's like it went from, I mean, it was Israel, but it was Israel and Judea, and then it became Judea, and then it became Palestine, and now it's Israel again. So Istanbul was Constantinople. No, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business with the Turks. All right. 2 Samuel chapter 2. And it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And he said, unto Hebron. I wish I had this clearer communication with God personally. That'd be so great. So David went up thither, and his two wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife of the Carmelite. Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. Sounds like she was Carmelicious. All right, Arlene, gotta go. We'll watch the replay. You have a blessed night too, brother. I mean, sister. Sister. Oh, you too, Admiral? Bruh, everybody's bailing. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you, and I also will requite you this kindness, because ye have done this thing. Look at this is David doing PR and reaching out and saying, hey man, we're all good, right? Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Pertaining to, he was also the king over the house of Judah for another 60 something years. But they're saying specifically over the house of Judah before he became the king over all of Israel. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon, and they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. So this is like a very nice, chill atmosphere. Somehow or another, these two civil war factions were like chilling out at the pool, hanging out at the pool, having a good time. And then Abner says to Joab, hey, let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise. Then they arose, keeping in mind, they want to go, go swimming for the pool, do some laps, play some volleyball in the pool. But then there arose and went by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. Were they going to play football? They might. The servants of David went there, open-handed, willing to play in the pool, but they caught every one his fellow by the head and thrust his sword in the fellow's side, so they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Helkath Hazarim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day. Well, what do you think? Yeah, Joe. Game of Thrones, exactly. This is like the Red Wedding right here. And Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah, Joab, and Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was light of foot as a wild roe. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. So he was basically chasing Abner down. And Abner looked behind him and said, art thou Asahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, turn thee aside to the right hand or to the left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Asahel, turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? This is the most interesting thing here. There's obviously a great deal of respect between Abner and Joab, right? And he knows it's Joab's brother that's chasing him, and he gives him every opportunity to stop chasing him. It's like when I fought my brother, and like my brother threw a punch at me, and I grabbed his. Sounds like bragging, but it's just I never wanted to fight my brother, right? But he was like always threatening me. It was like he was like Abner chasing me, or Asahel chasing me. And so one time he just threw a punch at me, and I just grabbed his arm when he threw it, and I twisted it, arm barred him, and slammed his face in the cement. And I'm like, that's why I'm not fighting you, right? This is why I don't want to fight you. And this is sort of the same. I was giving him every out, right? You give him every out. He's giving him every freaking out. but he was determined to have this fight. So, howbeit he refused to turn aside, wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the fifth rib, that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many came to the place where Asahel fell down and died, stood still. Did you catch that? Again, he was giving him every opportunity to get out. Abner is an honorable man. He's a mighty man. He's a mighty warrior. Obviously, he's really freaking strong, because did you catch what he hit him with? He didn't hit him with the spear. He hit him with the butt end of the spear. Right? Abner hit him with the hinder end. Dadgummit. The hinder end. That's the butt end, the back side of the spear. And the spear still went through him. It went through his rib cage, came out of his back. He wasn't even trying to, he was probably just trying to knock him if he was running or on horseback. Either way, he's probably just trying to knock him down, knock him out. That's probably why he said, hey, stop and pick up some armor. Like, if you have a fight and you're wearing armor, you have a better chance of surviving this fight, right? Every opportunity. The spear could have a sorator, a secondary point. That's true. That's true. But I don't know if that was the design of ancient Israeli spears. Maybe you could look that up for me, Joe. But also asking him to wear armor for this fight. If he's going to fight, put on some armor, right? It's like, put your pads on. I don't want to bare knuckle brawl you. I just think Abner's a honorable dude. He didn't want this situation. And I mean, this is the situation that ended up costing him his life. So he probably, I mean, he says it up there earlier. How am I supposed to face your brother? How am I supposed to face your brother if I have to kill you? Right? No, he tried to entice him to loot some armor instead of giving chase. That's another possibility. I like my version better. It just makes more sense because he's giving him every opportunity to get out of this fight. But Abishai would not stop. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, and lieth before Giah in the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill. And Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be then ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, as God liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up, every one from following his brother. I'm not quite sure what that means. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they anymore. That part is like something out of the Iliad, pretty much the same values. The defeated enemies were stripped off their armor, which was very valuable. Yeah, that's true. Although I think if they were going to for a swim, that's the thing. There was 12 guys on each side that went like to the pool, and they were going to play in the pool. Whatever that means, I don't know. But I doubt they were going to play in the pool fully dressed in their armor. And so, I mean, if they had armor on, it would have been a lot harder to just gut them, right? Anyways. Good perspective, Joe. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain and passed over Jordan and went through all Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner. And when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men in Asahel. So 20 men died. The 12. So it couldn't have been that huge of a battle because it was 12 of the initial guys who just got assassinated plus 8, which included Asahel. So 20 total. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and Abner's men, so that 303 men died. bet, dude. 360 to 20. That's a decisive battle. Wow. And you can see why Abner ran away. I would guess. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron and at break of day. Joe K says the way it is written implies that there were dead people wearing armor around them. Yeah, and from the sounds of it, clearly most of those dead people were Abner's men. They were Israelites rather than Judeans. It's just a crazy civil war, right? This reminds me of the story, and Doctor Who did an episode on this. But in the middle of World War II, on Christmas Eve, the Germans and the English, they had on a battlefield, they had a little private armistice where they just agreed not to fight because it was freaking Christmas, and they were playing football and giving each other gifts and all of that stuff, right? It's like they're in the middle of this horrible war, but they were all Christians, and so they took this moment of celebrating the birth of Christ to look at each other like fellow Christians and just fellow human beings for a night. And then the next day they went back to killing each other. But that's what this scene sort of reminds me of. It's like, history doesn't repeat, but it oftentimes rhymes. That seems like that's the kind of situation that they were in. The French and Germans too, and then their officers had to threaten them with execution for not fighting. Yeah. History doesn't rhyme, but doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. 2 Samuel chapter 3. This one's a little bit longer. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker, which is interesting because I believe Israel was considerably larger than Judea. I wonder why. I mean, I haven't looked up what the population numbers were. But if they continue to have battles where Israel was losing 13 times the number of casualties as Judea, then that would make perfect sense. I mean, David did have his mighty men. His mighty men were crazy strong, and yeah. So, anyways, and unto David were sons born in Hebron, and the firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess. The second, Chileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. The third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Jeshur. Absalom turns out to be some trouble. The fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. And the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, Ephraim, by Elga, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. I noticed that all of those wives are different. All those wives have different names, which is an interesting... how many wives did David end up having? I can't even remember. I don't even know. But obviously, not as many as Solomon. And it came to pass while there was a war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine, whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Wherefore hast thou gone into my father's concubine?" Ishbosheth, not that smart. And then Abner was very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, "Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, and to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with the fault concerning this woman? So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do him. Did he say that right in front of Ishbosheth's face? As the Lord has sworn to David, even so do I to him. To translate the kingdom, I think he said it right to his face. Was Abner and said, yeah, he said it right to his face. He just right in front of him. He's like, I'm swearing my allegiance to David. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again because he feared him. And what? There's nobody else there? Your General Patton is standing right in front of you. Who else is in the room? I mean, I would assume it wasn't like a private meeting between the two of them. That he was probably, there were probably other people there who he could have called on and said, hey, slay Abner. He literally just turned coat and swore his allegiance to overthrow me, your king. This was a very, but he couldn't say anything because he was scared. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, whose is the land? Saying also, make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee to bring about all Israel unto thee. Now keep in mind, Abner's kind of the boss here, right? Because it was Abner that put Ishbosheth on the throne, rather than doing what, Samuel prophesied, doing what he probably knew was God's will, which was putting David on the throne immediately following the death of Saul and Jonathan. Abner is the one that put Ishbosheth on the throne. And now Abner is saying, never mind, I'm going to give the throne to David. It's like, who owns this throne right now? Is it Abner or is it the house of Saul? Because it sounds like it's Abner. And he's promising to bring all of Israel unto him. And he said, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require, and this is David speaking, of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. That's David's first wife, who, as soon as David was on the run, Saul gave her to somebody else. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish. And her husband went, and keep in mind, I believe she had 2 children with Phaltiel, the son of Laish. So later on in the story, when it says, I think this is a couple chapters from now, it says that Michal never had any children. It's pertaining to after she got back together with David and then mocked him for dancing before the Lord. Oh, what is with my throat? I think that is what that's pertaining to. Oh man, I'm dying. I suddenly have this really bad tickle in my throat. Bye. Okay, bye.
Easy. Light word.
Oh man. Can I get through this? Yeah, I can. I'm sure I can. Kissy, kissy, bye. Have fun. Say hi to everybody. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Baharim. Then said Abner to him, go, return. And he returned. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, ye sought for David in times of past to be your king over you. Now then do it. For the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner is what in modern vernacular we call a kingmaker. And in this particular case, literally. So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, and they that make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and went in peace. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has sent him away, and he is gone in peace. And Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know that thy going out and thy coming in, and to know that what all that thou doest. And when Joab came out from the men, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah, but David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. And after, this is so Game of Thrones, like legitimately. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, this is what I'm saying, dude. All of this stuff, I hate the real world designs of all of this stuff, right? But the story is so awesome and so intriguing. If you took all of this stuff and you placed it in a fantasy, quote unquote fantasy, sort of sort of a fantasy medieval setting with really just cool armor and cool designs for it, dude, this would be, you could take the exact story, play the exact script. I mean, obviously embellish it for script's sake, and make this into like a movie. It would legit be like Game of Thrones level freaking awesome, right? Get the costume designers from Game of Thrones to do this story. Dude, it would be so dope. It would be so dope. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab and all his father's house. This is quite the curse. I don't know if God followed through with it. I don't think he was being prophetic. I think he's just being mad. And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, is crippled, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. You're either going to die by the sword, or you're going to starve, or you're going to be a cripple, or a leper, or have some sort of an issue. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel in the Gibeon in the battle. Okay, here's one of those interesting things. Sorry, I'm just being kind of squirrely. So in the first telling, and this is literally one script, one story, right? In one verse, and this goes to the quote unquote perceived contradiction in the scriptures that you'll see a lot of times. Oh, well, here there were 2 men, but here it says there were 8 men. It's like, well, 2 is part of 8. So from one perspective, we're talking about 2 guys. And from one perspective, we're talking about the whole group, right? So literally in the same paragraph, when you're writing this whole thing down, it says that Joab took him aside in the gate and killed him. And then down here it says Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner. Is that a contradiction? No, it's additional information that you didn't get in the first reciting of what happened. So Abishai was obviously there. Abishai was obviously in league, in guilty of the action, but Joab was the one that stuck the knife up under the fifth rib. for the specifics. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier. The bier? The bier. I think it's pronounced beer. And they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented over Abner and said, died Abner as a fool dieth. Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. As a man falleth before wicked men, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again over him. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, so do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else, till the sun be down. And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner the son of Ner. And the king said unto his servants, know ye not, there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel. And I am this day weak, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. I know I have a whole nother chapter to go through, but that was a lot of reading. And I can only do so much reading, which means I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to mark these down as read. And then tomorrow we will do chapters. Oh, no. I guess we are caught up to chapter 4. That was today. Gosh, I didn't realize I was reading all the way through chapter 4. No. Okay, so the next one's chapter 4. All right, so that was 1, 2, and 3. Let me trip these off. 1, 2, 3. And then tomorrow I will do chapter 4 and 5, and then I will do the Bible study. Again, if you want to go back and read all the questions and everything in the actual devotional, then you can get this on PDF in the description. Anyways, that's gonna be it. Let's see. By the way, Biden is to make an announcement in 30 minutes. I guess they are charging his batteries. They're getting him all gacked up on coke and seeing if they can get him to speak a coherent sentence. Oh my gosh, yeah. What else is going on? I mean, I've been kind of out of the loop because I've been at the meetup for Squid Grow. So sorry, I don't really. I look like I got some sun too, doesn't it? I do. But yeah, I don't know. That's about it, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'm my voice is done. I'm kind of out of gas talking wise. I was gonna try to do this yesterday before I went up, but I was like so tired. I slept so long last night because I didn't. So every night I've been going, I'm not going to say where it was, but it was a drive to get there. And then it was a drive to get home. And I was coming home like late at night and then getting up early to get Micah to school and then going back to sleep. And then as soon as I got up, doing a few things and then trying to get back up there for the meet. So I've been like, it's been pretty exhausting. But I'm good now. I had a coffee. Gonna start on this second one pretty soon here. And yeah, let's hope we don't get nuked by the morning. And if we do, hey, I'll see you in heaven or in the new heavens and the new earth. I still don't quite know how that works. Why is this camera always messing up like that? But anyways, like, subscribe, share, do all of that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the next exciting episode of Cross Examinations.
Back in line, you dog! On your feet! Get them going!